I believe that there is a fundamental divide between the purpose of education and the system that it exists in. As a teacher, I've felt it. You want to make a difference in students' lives, you want to engage them, inspire them, and form meaningful relationships. But there's competing interests, demanding higher achievement with less value. It's often been said that you are what you measure, and we are clearly numbers on a page. I believe it's time to question our definition of student success. Ultimately, what is it that high achievement provides without a meaningful context? Success in the traditional sense doesn't make us happy and doesn't improve the world we live in, and we can do better. What if instead we learn to measure empathy, resilience, creativity, and commitment to care, as much as we measure literacy and math skills? Imagine the kind of schools and the kind of world we would create. United World College of Southeast Asia believes in this ideal. We aim to make education a force to unite people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. With a student population of over 5,000 children and more than 90 nationalities, we stand to make a large mark on international education. We have recently embarked on a 5-year curriculum articulation project to do just that. Through this process, we ask ourselves, how are we doing? Academically, we measure ourselves quite often, and we're doing well. But academics is only one aspect of what we do, and we agree it's not very valuable on its own. How do we know that we are being successful in educating for peace and a sustainable future? If we are going to measure this, we first had to define it. Why are we doing this? What does a sustainable future look like? How do we educate for peace? And what does this look like in a school and in a classroom? We know that we can no longer continue to ignore the bigger issues at hand as we focus on our narrow curriculums. Every person on Earth is now impacted by the changing landscape across the planet. Extreme inequity and poverty, sea level rise, conflict, severe weather events, polluted air and water, disappearing forests, and food and water shortages. The poor and disadvantaged populations across the globe bear the largest weight of the consequences. The impacts of climate change, for instance, are already unequally tilted against many of the world's poorest regions, which have the least economic, institutional, scientific, and technical capacity to cope and adapt. And we see this in our cities, as industrial zoning essentially creates the poverty-struck areas impacted the most by severe health implications. Thus, we find a new type of education is emerging called education for sustainability. But make no mistake, this is not about polar bears. It's about you and me, our students and their children. Ultimately, what education for sustainability develops is the emotional, social, and eco-literacy in the context of the collective good of all humanity. Students must have the ability and motivation to analyze the complex issues we are facing and make informed decisions. They will be the knowledgeable and motivated citizens that will shape the future of this planet. What does education for sustainability look like? Well, it emphasizes learning, decision-making that creates an equitable society, healthy environments, and vibrant economy. These cannot exist in isolation. And it rests on the best of our practices and models in education today: emotional and social education, project-based and authentic learning experiences, student-centered, multidisciplinary approaches that are connected to the natural world. Within schools that educate for sustainability, there is an extensive collaboration amongst teachers, providing a place for synergy, sharing, co-learning, capacity building, and innovation. Research on sustainability, education for sustainability, is showing powerful effects on critical thinking, motivation, engagement, sense of purpose, emotional well-being, and the incidence of behavior issues, and attention and hyperactivity disorders. It's really a no-brainer. Education for sustainability is better for our students, our communities, and our collective future. So my project was to help my school answer this question. How are we doing in meeting our mission? I mapped the existing locations of education for sustainability within our learning program by collecting anecdotal evidence from my interviews with teachers. I investigated the types of tools, structures, and values being utilized to access this learning. We defined the learning I was looking for through the lens of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals in action on social, economic, and environmental areas. I did find some powerful results. In science, students learn about energy by mapping the life of a consumer product, such as a t-shirt or juice box. They learn the skills of systems mapping and value the hidden costs of products while gaining a depth of insight into energy consumption. In humanities classes and other courses, students use a tool called the compass to analyze topics through the lens of nature, the economy, society, and human well-being. Students learn to draw connections as they investigate the central question of who or what causes poverty. In art classes, students explore the work of a French street artist, JR, and ask, can art change the world? They work with the guest artist to create their own art that sends a message. As a result of my investigation of our learning program, I found that there are many examples of education for sustainability happening in our program. These examples align with my research. They're student-centered, project-based, multidisciplinary, and driven by values. Students are indeed more engaged and motivated by the authentic context. I found, however, several barriers to our success in realizing our mission, primarily a lack of a consistent definition of education for sustainability, a culture of collaboration with a structure for cross-curricular learning, a shared responsibility for teaching for peace and sustainability, and teacher efficacy in utilizing new teaching methods. The aim of my proposed professional development plan is to describe a vision for staff learning around education for sustainability that's collaborative, continuous, embedded in daily practice, and focused on student learning necessary to realize the mission of peace and a sustainable future. Within the plan, we create a college definition of education for sustainability, communicate this definition, establish cross-curricular teams, support the teams with sustainability coaches, and create a framework for communication and professional sharing. Assessment of our success is led through frequent feedback, surveys, and teacher and student examples. The alignment of our strategic planning and professional development with our mission at United World College Southeast Asia will have significant impacts on the quality and value of the education we provide to students, the community, and the broader international context. Representing a fundamental shift in the way we educate and why, education for sustainability is one of the most important tools we have for true and lasting change across cultures, ethnicities, and borders. It is my hope that United World College Southeast Asia will continue to be a leader in this change. Thank you.